welcome to season 8, episode 15 of the Focus TV. Happy to be back with you guys another week. We're joined by Octavia Wyatt. We got Malik Miller here, Raymond Lyons joining us as well. NFL Combine was last week, so per usual, you get once that happens, the news cycle goes crazy because they don't like any other sports to, have shine because they want you to talk about them and only them. So got some interesting news. We'll get into that, some of that stuff. We'll take it and leave it at rapid fire. But we will get ready to kick things off with the Washington Wizards. Then we get into our college segment where, again, told you guys last week, getting closer and closer to conference play. We got the conference tournaments pretty much starting this week, all of which should be exciting. I can't wait to tell you guys about Maryland this week. It was a little crazy. That finish to that game was nuts. Covered him for a while. That was one of the most wild finishes been a part of. And I did some little old school, which was kind of just like be there and enjoy it. Sorry I didn't rip my phone out. But everybody else did, so we got more than enough highlights of that wonderful clip. That said, Ray, we'll start with you in the Washington Wizards.
All right, I'm actually going to start off with some good news for the Wizards. I know that's few and far between this season, but they recently signed Justin Champagnie to a multi-year deal, 4 years, $10 million. He was previously on a two-way contract, but they went ahead and converted that to an official NBA deal. And it's much deserved for him. This is his second season with the team. He's, of course, split time between the Wizards and the Go-Go. He's just been productive in every since he's been there. He's been a part-time starter this season. Given the Wizards since they've been dealing with some injuries and also with through the trade deadline and things like that. And and he's produced, man. He's had career highs in minutes, points, assists, and steals. So he's just bearing the fruits of his labor now. So definitely congratulations to him. On the team front, since we've last seen you guys, the Wizards have played 3 games. They were 1-2 in those games, starting with a loss to Portland last Wednesday. They beat the Hornets on Saturday, and they lost to the Miami Heat last night. Last night's loss was honestly, it was a little disappointing, man, because we kind of seen the Wizards gain some positive momentum lately. Just stringing together a couple of decent games. But last night they basically lost to Bam Adebayo and the Sioux Falls Skyforce. The Heat's injury report was longer than their active roster, but they still managed to pull out the win. It was just a disjointed game for the Wizards, man. They shot 38% from the field. I'm not going to win many NBA games like that. But yeah, man, they struggled. Hopefully they can get back on a positive track. They are playing the Utah Jazz at home tomorrow. So maybe they'll feed off that home crowd and they'll get back into the swing of things. Chris Middleton did have his best game since he's been traded to the Wizards. He has 16 points. Just looks to be kind of getting his legs up under him. So hopefully they'll continue to work him in, and they'll be able to get one in the W column. I mean, those only team they have been able to beat consistently this season, the Charlotte Hornets. They completed a 4-0 sweep of the Hornets the other day. So yeah, man, they just been having a rough go at it. But overall, we kind of knew what type of season they were in for. Just mainly focusing on the young guys and their development, which has been going well. Bub, Keyshawn George, Bilal, and Alex Sarr, even though he's been in and out of the lineup, when he has been in, he's been consistent and has continued to develop. So, man, that's just what they're looking for in the last 5 weeks of the season, just trying to see what they have and who's who, and that'll kind of determine what they do heading into the offseason.
We've had some great conversations, taking an early look ahead to not only to this offseason, just the future of the Wizards as a whole. So make sure get over to our channel, check out those Wizard Outlook recaps, and we'll see you a couple more times this week for Wizards Outlooks for you Wizards fans. Don't forget, when you guys tune in, share your thoughts in the comment section so we happily reply to you guys live on air at some do each and every show. We do appreciate. That said, we're gonna move things over to the college segment. Malik, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. We're transitioning to a D2 type of week, a D2 basketball type of week. This past week was the CIAA basketball tournament. At the end of the CIAA season, they all go to Baltimore or the respectful state of where the tournament is, and they finish it out and see who's going to be the champion. For the women's, we have Fayetteville State. Fayetteville State were able to capture back-to-back CIAA championships on the women's side, beating Virginia State 64 to 56. Fayetteville was 21-7 in the regular season, 13-3 in conference, and they were just amazing. Kiana McLean and Talia Trouter each had 15 points in the game. McLaughlin was named Food Line MVP of the game. She also had 8 rebounds and 3 steals. Trouter filled the sheet with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Junior Nia Wilkins was named CIAA Tournament MVP after averaging 9 points and 6.7 rebounds over the 3 games in the tournament on this past week. In the game against Bluefield State, she had 12.6 rebounds, 2 steals. And then she went to play against Virginia Union, where she had a double-double, 11 points and 10 rebounds and an assist. Wilkins and McLaughlin were both named CIAA All-Tournament Team. Honestly, the reason why they was able to win this game, they were able to outlast and play great defense. They held Virginia State to 14.3 shooting percentage from beyond the arc. They also forced 18 turnovers. Um, excuse me. From these 18 turnovers, they were able to convert it into 13 points. As well, 3 steals from the guards were disrupting the play of ball. They started the game early, extended the lead to 32 to 17 by halftime. And that was capped off with a 6-0 run to end the half. They were hot to start the game, and they hit 6 3-pointers in the second quarter. So rolling to the half, they were doing their thing. In this game, they were able to beat Virginia State. And on the men's side of things, my men team of the week are the men's Virginia State Trojans. And they were able to capture a championship over the Bluefield State. Yes, Bluefield State. 1 second. I'm on this side. Virginia State was able to win 71 to 64. The standout player, Jacob Cooper, he was named tournament MVP over his 3-game week. He had 16 points, 6.7 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and 2 steals. Some of the other guys in the championship game, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and he's just been a leader for the team. This is the first championship that the Trojans had been able to obtain since 2019. Some of the other notable contributors were Jared White, who had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Jason Harris and Davion Coleman were also important, where they grabbed 12 rebounds apiece. Coleman also added 3 blocks. This is the first time they've won since 2019, and now Virginia State men are going to watch the NCAA selection show. Will they be put in the D2 tournament, D2 National Championship tournament, and they're going to see where it can go from there. Congrats to both teams. Black Excellence, CIAA. And this upcoming week, I want to say 2 weeks from now, is the MEAC tournament. So we'll be seeing a lot of HBCU basketball rolling around.
Indeed, shout out to both of their respective programs. It's March, man. It's officially March. One of the most fun times of the year, where even if you don't follow college basketball all year, there's one time that you do kind of pay attention. I'm gonna leave those reasons alone. Some of y'all need help. Y'all gamblers, some of y'all need help. That y'all do pay attention, but we appreciate it and looking forward to it. That's it on the women's side of things at College Park. Told you guys what they've been up to. Tough stretch to close the season. That said, an extremely wild finish for Maryland. On this past Sunday, as they hosted Ohio State. It was their regular season finale. Let me get this up here real quick. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just let this roll for you guys. Like the last 5 minutes of – it's pretty much just like the last 5 minutes regulation. But the Terps were victorious in a hard-fought, back-and-forth battle with the Ohio State Buckeyes. A little bit of background there is the Buckeyes gave the Terps their lone road loss in conference play this season, earlier this year. So, as one would expect, Maryland was looking for a bit of get back there. they were able to achieve just that. We saw the resiliency from a group that's dealt with more than their fair share of injuries. They would still escape with a 93-90 win, courtesy of Seretse Biasu's game-winning triple. You guys will see that in a little bit. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But for a more in-depth breakdown of this game, head over to our channel. We got that right in the college basketball section. As far as Maryland, they were led by Kayleen Smikle. She had a huge second half, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Cyan Sellers with 21 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. She had a horrible game from a turnover standpoint. Very irregular and out of character. However, she overfought quite a bit. You know, she's been dealing with some nagging injuries. Had her Willis Reed moment there. Left the game in the second half for a little bit. Came back into a large applause and hit a couple big shots down the stretch. But what we saw in this game, which is why this game was so much fun, was neither team was trying to concede to the other, regardless of what was going on. You guys see here, one of the things Ohio State did a great job of was pressing. The times that it did work, it kept them in the game. Maryland had a chance in the fourth quarter where they were up by as many as 9. You know, you string together a couple good possessions, maybe you're in a great place, you blow open the game. Ohio State just wouldn't let it happen. They got some quick turnovers. They got back in it. You guys see there, Cheyenne hitting that tough bucket out the post. Always joking, you know, Ray, she got that old 90s guard game. Take you in the post. Here's a little midi. Take all that. But then we saw Cody McMahon. That is a big, strong, physical WNBA type guard. They said she's listed at 6 foot. It is a well put together 6 foot. That is a grown woman that Ohio State has on the wing. There you saw her get into the basket, hit some big shots. Kayleen Smikle started overtime a little tough, forced a couple shots, but then we saw Maryland with that resiliency we're talking about. Just not blink, honestly. I'm going to move this along a little bit so you guys can see just how crazy this was down the stretch. Here we go. This was nuts. Seretse Biasu again, getting downhill, scoring a huge bucket. But Ohio State just kept coming back. You had some big missed free throws from both teams. Ali Kubek split a pair. We saw Cody McMahon split a pair of free throws, and they cost their respective teams. I think this is coming up in a little bit. Big block from Kayleen Smikle led to a jump ball. Gotta love college sports because that looks like a block. Clearly did not count as a block. But it is what it is. You know, I think this is Ali going to the line about to split the pair. Then you just want to hold on for defense here. But when you're about to see, I can't think of her first name right now, but Green, big time contributor off the bench for Ohio State in this game, gets that reverse layup. And what I loved here, no coach called timeouts. As crazy as this was down the stretch, this was one long, just one shot. There was no timeouts. They just let their team scramble. And Seretse Biasu knocking down this one-legged three. If you guys remember, some of y'all caught my age. Y'all remember that D-Wade shot back against the Bulls? You know exactly the shot I'm talking about. It's the first thing that popped back into my head. That said, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all this from a Maryland standpoint. But they kind of like this is what it looks like from courtside. Dude, this was crazy. Like, this was just crazy. And again, the smallest person on the court, mind you, knocks down this shot, gets this win from Maryland. Told you guys last week what was on the table for them, right? You wanted to finish strong. They were able to secure a double bye in the Big Ten tournament because they ended up finishing with the 4 seed. Got some help from some other people. That's not their problem, though. Their job was to just take care of business. They beat Ohio State. This is a hell of a shot. She said after the game that, you know, they practice half-court shots to shoot around. She hit hers that day and then said, you know, she hit that later on. Wasn't quite the same shot, but you got to love it. Again, the crowd was electric for this game. Hopefully they get a couple wins in the conference tournament. Hopefully that helps their resume, and maybe they end up hosting. If they do end up hosting, I implore everyone who came out this past weekend to do the same. That crowd was huge in that game. Some other notes. 3 members of the Maryland's women's basketball team, they're 23-6 is how they finished the regular season, earned all Big Ten honors from the league's media panel head coaches Tuesday. I'm going to knock this out. I'm just going to let this play. Junior Cheyenne Sellers has been named a first-team honoree by both groups. Junior Kelly Smike was named to the first team by the media and second team by the coaches. Here we go. By the coach. Then Junior Bree McDaniel earned honorable mention honors from the media, which is loved because she was such a huge contributor before she went down for the season with that injury. Sellers earned first team honors from the media for the third straight season. She averaged 14.6 points, 3.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists per game for the Terps. Sellers was a preseason All Big Ten honoree. She scored in double figures in 23 of the 27 games this season. She was named Big Ten Player of the Week once and Big Ten Player of the Week honor roll twice. She's the first player in program history, which I shared with you guys earlier this year. 1,500 points, 500 rebounds, and 500 assists. Her own personal club in Maryland lore. Her current free throw percentage is 82.4, is number 2 in program history. Smichael led the Terps in scoring with 17.9. We're going to call it 18 points a game, all right? She also led the Terps in steals with 44 on the year. She scored in double figures in 26 of the 29 games and reached 1,000 career points in her 58th career game. Smike was named Big Ten Player of the Week twice this year, into the Big Ten Player of the Week honor roll once. McDaniel averaged 10.6 points per game in her 17 games played this season. She was the Terps' third leading scorer. Again, she was coming off the bench. That's how big of a piece they've been missing. At the end of games, we talk about how important guards are. They're missing a huge piece of their playmaking, their offense. Bree did a lot for them. That said, our free throw percentage of 78.5 is top 10 in program history, and she still has another year. Wishing her a speedy recovery. The 15th ranked Terps are now the number 4 seed and earned a double bye in this week's Big Ten tournament at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Terps will play the second game on Friday, March 7th, somewhere around 2:30 in the afternoon. Friday's game will be televised on the Big Ten Network for you Terp fans that want to watch. Again, they need to have a good showing in this tournament to improve their overall resume and hopefully get a chance to finish one of the top 16 teams. A reminder on the women's side of things, if you finish in the top 16, you get to host the first 2 rounds on your campus, which is huge. All right, on to take it or leave it. Got some good things for you guys this week. Again, heavy football related because they're selfish and doesn't want anybody else to have the news cycle. This guy got traded. We talked about it last week. It has, in fact, happened. Deebo Samuel was traded to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick during the NFL Combine when this news broke. The Commanders are taking on the remainder of Deebo's contract, paying his full $17.55 million salary for this season. Take it or leave it that this is a great look for the Commanders. We'll start off with one of the 2 NFC East folks. Ray, we'll start with you. Your take on your best friend. You guys' experience with Deebo coming to the division.
I'm taking, man. It's low risk, not a big cap hit. He's talented. If he can stay healthy, he'll definitely add something to the offense. It never hurts putting another weapon around Jaden Daniels. So it's not a huge splash, but the position they're in, it's a good move for them. If it doesn't work out, so be it. It's not like he's on a long-term deal or anything. But if it does work out, then great. And it'll cost them $4 million against their cap or something like that. So, and they've got I think $100 million to play with.
Yeah, they got a little bit of room.
So, it's why not? It's out there. He was leaving anyway. Might as well get some low-hanging fruit.
Octavia, so your dear friend, Mr. Tyshawn Samuels, entering your division. Your thoughts?
Not really worried. I mean, I think it's definitely, it's the effect of the Washington Commanders' previous season that they just had, that they're going to warrant people to want to come there and play with Jaden Daniels. So it doesn't surprise me that you have a well-known skill position player that wants to come and play there. I don't like to say people have fallen off. I know the 49ers had a lot of injuries last year, including Deebo. And then, of course, when you have the likes of Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, who play around him, which also makes his game easier, not be there. It's hard for him to kind of just jump in as the focal point, even though he has always been a very big part of the San Francisco 49ers offense. But I mean, I'm not really too worried as far as that. Like, he could definitely go off because we've seen it in the past. But I'm more of a, what have you done for me lately type person. It hasn't looked that great recently. Maybe it's the injuries to himself. Maybe it was the injuries to the players around him. But I think it's good for him. He wants a fresh start. And like I said, a lot of people want to go play with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. So it'll be interesting. But it didn't really shake me or move me if I'm in the division. I wouldn't be too entirely worried. It's going to be more so of I got to see it before I start to be up in arms about it. So we'll see. It could definitely pan out as a good pickup for the Commanders. A lot of people have said that they think Debo will definitely eat inside of Cliff Kingsbury offense. So it definitely could work out. But I think we're just too early into it to really warrant that much attention.
All right, Malik, from the other side of it, how happy to see that man go?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. We need parts, yes sir, absolutely. I'm like, it was it's a 3-headed, 4-headed, but I don't know how many heads over there, but I know Brock Purdy can't get it done without him. So I'm about to say that's beautiful. Yeah, they are they were a super team before him. I say everybody healthy, absolutely. When they had all that, not this past season before that, when everything was moving and how it was moving. He was one of those pieces. He's up out of there. I love it for us. I love it for I'm from DC. I'm about to say, I don't like the Commanders, but I love it for the Commanders. They got a new receiver. They got they got another running back, Austin Eckler's there, so he can relieve him of some duties, if need be. So they got they gave him a 5th-round pick for a 5th. They got a lot of pieces back for a 5th-round pick. And it's really just depending on if he's staying healthy, and I think he's going to be healthy. I think people do the healthy thing, depending on, unless their body's really messed up, depending on your situation, your body seems to be more healthy, more mental stability, things of that such. So, as long as he stays focused in DC, I like it.
All right, yeah. Yeah, Octavia, you did. 2, for Debo,
I think I did.
I think it's one of those rare things where it's like something that worked out for both parties, right? We knew this time was coming because it was this time per his contract. It wasn't guaranteed, sir. That's why Washington paid it, because it's a steal. Also, I think sometimes situations matter. In the Bay, as Malik kindly and happily, joyously shared with how many mouths there are to feed over there, he kind of went down the pecking order once they got Christian McCaffrey and offense changed a little bit. But for Washington, you get to move up into the pecking order. And because of Jaden Daniels, I think he'll see more zone, which is great for Debo. What hurt for Debo a little bit in the Bay was people don't really play zone against Brock. So it's better to play man. And it kind of stifled things a little bit for him, quite a bit for him. So I think it's great for both parties. The Niners going through this thing where Jay's kind of like, I'm cool with giving cash, but the people I'm giving cash to got to be healthy and available. So, he's kind of like, I don't mind spending, but we can't just pay everybody anymore. So he's in his feelings right now. They got cash constraints and stuff. But I think for the Commanders, it's great. Got another one. This is a familiar one. Another guy who's always been talking about. T. Higgins, man. I don't know why this man is disrespected the way that he is. But that said, the Bengals have placed a franchise tag on T. Higgins for the 2nd year in a row. They did so with the intent of continuing to work towards a long-term deal, end quote. Keep in mind, Ja'Marr Chase and Trey Hendrickson are entering the last year of their deals. So if you had to franchise not Ja'Marr Chase and not Trey Hendrickson, y'all, I just want to ask y'all, do you take it or leave it that they're able to get this deal done? Or do you end up just trading them so you get something? Because I'm going to take a wild guess. Say you pay T. Higgins, right? You think Ja'Marr Chase want the same thing you pay in T. Higgins? So that's just me. Malik, we'll start with you. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, definitely. When contracts come around, a lot of people got to get paid. You got to look 3 years ahead, 3 years behind. You just got to see how everything sorts out. They weren't able to get him a new contract. Some receiver is going to be a free agent this summer, and he's going to break the bank, and he's going to change the landscape of the receiver money. Like you said, Jamar Chase becomes a free agent next summer, so Jamar Chase is going to break the bank on that free agency number, and Jamar Chase, the Bengals are going to throw him a great number. Him and Joe Burrow are they have to play together, and if they don't play together, the Bengals will have nothing. You know, so already got rid of Joe Mixon a few years ago. Defensive struggles. You led the league, and Joe Burrow led the league in a statistical category. Jamar Chase led the league, and I think they led per player. They led the league in sacks. So having all these leaders and not being able to do anything with them, Jamar Chase is going to get re-signed next year. T. Higgins, I think they're just trying to see if they can get it done one more time with him. If they can't win the Super Bowl, if they can't win the AFC Championship, they're just going to let him. They're just going to let it die. He's going to find a new place to play. T. Higgins is a great football player, so I definitely understand. And he has something to prove this upcoming season, to the Bengals, to the teams around that might want him, and that he can be a true number one receiver on another team.
I tell you, T. Higgins taking to leave it, getting something done with the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm gonna leave it just because I feel like if they haven't done it at this point, like what are we doing? Like the money is only getting higher, and like you still haven't signed Jamar Chase either. His money is gonna continue to go up. This is T's second year in a row being on the franchise tag. We know he didn't like it last year. What makes you think he's gonna like it for a second year? I didn't actually see the post that he made, but I heard that he made a post and he didn't like it. And you know that's like the universal sign now that we have in pro sports, that when they tweet or Instagram something, they are very upset. Okay. So I don't understand what is happening, because at this point it's like you got to make a decision. They've been drawing this out for entirely too long, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will go back and always say the Bengals have been notoriously cheap, and it's showing that again. But it's hard to even think about how they would be able to work out all three of those contracts if they wanted to do it in the first place, with Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Jamar is going to warrant at least 40. At least. T, as long as he's been hanging on, he's going to want at least 30. Shoot, he might want 35 because y'all keep playing with him. At this point, I think the franchise tag is 26.6 or something like that. So I don't understand what these teams are doing when they wait so long as far as to make a decision on what you're going to do. There are many teams out there that would love T. Higgins to be their number one. Let's just keep it a buck. It's a lot of teams that are looking for number one wide receivers. And there's a lot of return you could get back on it. And there's still other positions within the Bengals organization that they need to work on. Their offensive line is always something that they have to work on. So, and I'm sure they want somebody opposite of Trey Hendrickson as well. So there's other parts of their team that needs work. So for them to just be pigeonholed in this back and forth between T. Higgins, not T. Higgins, how much we want to pay Jamar, how much we don't want to pay Jamar, and just dragging it out further and further, it's just costing you more and more money, or more of a likelihood that they're not going to end up being there. And maybe you don't get what you thought you could have got. Like, I would hate to think, and I never want to wish injury on anybody, but I would hate to think T. Higgins had injury last year. Imagine if he gets injured again this year and you're going to try to trade him. His trade value is going to go down. Now you're stuck. Like, what are you going to do? So I just feel like they need to just make a decision. And the fact that we got past the franchise tag deadline again, and they still have not made a decision. You've had an entire off season of last year, an entire season again. And here we are getting ready to start the league year again, and you still don't have a decision. So you have to franchise him again. It's just crazy. Maybe, I guess you can hold out hope that, free agency or the legal tampering period starts next week, that maybe there's some talks and deals they have in place that they're looking into. I don't know how much I believe them when they say they're really trying to work out a long-term deal, because I don't know what's taking so long.
Ray, taking this and leaving this.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it, man. Pretty much like Octavia said, they're just delaying the inevitable at this point. Um, at some point, the clock's gonna run out, and you're gonna have to go one way or the other. Um, Personally, the franchise tag is, I mean, it's not meaningless, but once you get to that point, I'm pretty sure the player you're franchising isn't happy. So now you got a disgruntled person on your team. Why do you even let it get there? Pay him or trade him. I understand the predicament that they're in regards to having to pay people, but that's part of the job, man. Figure it out. Um, if I were them, I would be looking at trade offers. Like you all said, they got areas that they need to address. Um, and T. Higgins is a hell of a bargaining chip. Uh, you're not going to be able to pay all those guys. You know that. Uh, so continuing to have someone that you know is unhappy, but I mean, as the franchise, you do have that big joker where you can just put put the tag on them for what, 3 years. But at that point, why? Just just figure it out and move on with your life. Because at this point, you're just in purgatory, and it's not helping anyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that at well. Just trade him this offseason, man. Can't afford him. It's okay. Because whatever you're gonna ask for, Jamar's gonna be like, I want at least 15 more than him. Just be completely honest. Jamar's not even thinking about what you pay T. He's over there like, you better have my Justin Jefferson money. Whether he's right or wrong, I'm just telling y'all where he's at. His floor is he's gonna look at CeeDee Lamb, what he got paid, and that's where Jamar probably wants to start. So, Malik acknowledged this earlier, at least with good teams, you want to be looking 3 to 5 years in advance. As Xavier mentioned, I don't know how you're here if you tag him for the second time. This is beyond bad planning. Just trade that young man to keep it moving. You might as well trade Trey Hendrickson this offseason too. It's a deep draft. Go rebuild your defense. Get some offensive linemen. Get some, some spend around money, some spending money, what have you. And then put the rest of your pennies together for Jamar Chase because it's going to cripple you. You're going to have to pay for that. It's not going to come cheap. I'm going to leave the NFL for a second because this one had me dying. Steve Kerr, man. He wants the travel to be called more. He shared this after his team's win over the Hornets. The entire game is based on footwork. We need to enforce traveling violations, and we are not doing it, and I don't understand why. These officials are awesome. They do a great job, and they have a million things to watch, but footwork is the entire basis of the game, and we need to call traveling. It will be a much better game if we clean it up. Take it or leave it, what Kurt is talking about. Ray, you already know, since we've been going down and up the lineup here with questions. I didn't plan it this way, but here we are. Yeah.
So amazing. Steve Kerr is so nostalgic. He wants guys to stop traveling. The nerve of him. It's a shame we're at the point of coaches begging for basic rules to be implemented. And he's right, man. It's not good to watch, to see people blatantly traveling all over the court. It's been this way for a few years. But yeah, man. I mean, I agree with him 100%. At some point, you gotta rein it in a little bit, man. The rules already dictate and limit people defensively to begin with, and now you're gonna allow people to run all over the court. Come on, man. But yeah, I'm pretty sure people are going to be up in arms about this. But yeah, I would say Steve Kerr is in a position to speak on this. This guy, he's had a lot of success in the league as a coach, had a lot of success in the league as a player. He's been around the NBA for quite some time. So, if you want to argue with him, so be it. But yeah, they got to do something because it's getting pretty ridiculous.
Xavier.
Yeah, I think like Ray said, it's hilarious that we actually have to have a coach come out and physically say, you guys know, like, you're just like not calling travels at all. Like, I think it's just another, and I will say that I was kind of respected the way he did it too, because then he did try to make sure he wasn't like denigrating against the referees. Like, he was like, I mean, the refs do a great job, and all these things, but we need to really get them to focus on, they're not watching the feet. And it's like, okay, we got so much stuff that the refs that we have issues with at times, referees in all sports, really, it looks like at times. um I don't know. It's like, I feel like the ones that are really bad are like the very blatant ones where you're like, come on, bro, he just did skip to my Malu down the court. And the ref just stood there and looked. Like, I do understand to a certain degree, even though I'm speaking as somebody who's not trained as a referee, who should be trained as, really watching their feet when they are playing. Um, some of these players' footwork is really good. So it becomes a little bit difficult to really dictate, really figure out if it really was a travel. And I think that referees are so, I don't want to say all of them, but I think, we kill referees so much about mistakes that they make. They're like, well, I couldn't really tell 100%. So let me just go ahead and let it go. So I mean, it's a catch-22. I feel like you're gonna have people on both sides of the fence. You're gonna have people who are like, I don't need more calls, slowing down the game and all of this other stuff. And then you have people that are really into the actual art of basketball. There are rules in the game for a reason. Um, and then like you'll get down to, it's the game winning shot and they're gonna call it travel, and then everybody's gonna be up in arms that you called a travel on the game winning shot on game 7 of the playoffs. Like, so I feel like you're gonna be damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think that the most fair of it is like, if you see a travel, call the damn travel. Especially if it's egregious. Like, I feel like I would assume that's the more so the ones that Steve Kerr is referring to. But at the end of the day, like, if it's a rule, you got to call it. Here I am, an Eagles fan. I'm still mad that they called holding 2 years ago, but it's a part of the game, apparently.
Malik, your take on Steve Kerr and his wishes to have the travel be enforced. So as Ray said, they're not just running all around the court.
Yeah, I agree. Like, guys are doing pro hop moves now that are 4, 5, 6 steps. It's like the referees, are the refs actually paying attention to the things they're doing and not calling it, or they not looking and not looking to call it, or like, it's going to, all hell's going to break loose when it's a game winning shot and, it's a travel 3.5 steps, 4.5 steps, or a carry. And honestly, like, what is defined as a carry anymore based on how these guys are dribbling? Like, so I don't even know. It's really like, how can you call this time and then not call it on a consistent basis? Or how can a team get away? I think Anthony Edwards, I think this happened to he dribbled the ball. They called a carry on him. He dribbled another possession. He came down. This was like super earlier in the season. He came down. They called another travel on him, and he was like, he's been dribbling like this. Like, it wasn't nothing new this game than it was the other games. And I think he had mentioned another player that dribbles with his hand over top of the ball. So it's like, you can't call it on one guy and not call on the others, which the NBA is doing. So, and Steve Kerr was a point guard. Steve Kerr is not a 6'7" guy. He wasn't a guy that was just more athletically gifted than the guys he played with back then. But Steve Kerr probably dribbled the proper way. And, him coming up being a smaller guy or not as big guy, he was probably taught the game of do the little things. And, you can't skip over the little things because you're just not blessed enough to be able to do those things. So for him to watch the game as a head coach point of view, he used to be a player and he's a point guard, it's like the nature and the essence of the rules are not being enforced. So it's like, what are we really doing here? And I absolutely agree. Like, some possessions, like, what if people were taking travel trips across the country to China in some clips? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's got a little out of pocket at times, and that's why I appreciate the Olympic years because the FIBA refs don't care. We ain't gonna talk about it. You move your feet, sir. That's palming. I bet. Do you want a technical? Like, I need the NBA to have their refs go get trained by the FIBA officials. That's what I need. I also would just like that FIBA style, just make it universal. That's what I like, but I'm asking too much, and I get that. But now I'm with Steve, man. Please call it, because some of the stuff people try to get away with looks like some of the comedic type stuff we see on social media. There's a problem that those two things shouldn't be. It's a crossover nobody wants. Moving to, Saquon. So this is about Saquon, but also not about Saquon. Malik, you're going to be up first. Just give you some time to think about it already. All right, so Saquon was awarded a contract extension today. 2 years, $41.2 million. $36 million fully guaranteed as signing, making him the NFL's highest paid running back because he is averaging $20 million a year. This also makes him the first running back to hit that mark of $20 million a year. It's all extremely petty because the Eagles are exactly kind of like Christian makes 19, here's $1 million more. You now have 20. I appreciate the pettiness. I love it. It is great. I truly appreciate that. That said, man, James Cook of the Buffalo Bills, the Saquon reports are coming out. He decided, that he wanted all of us to know that he was paying attention to the reports. So he quote tweeted one of the reports, put the little googly eyes up, and quote tweeted another one, and was like, oh, that's good business. Take it or leave it that Saquon Barkley's deal has any bearing on James Cook's possible contract extension. Malik.
People gotta get paid. Somebody said people gotta get paid. Leverage has to be made. So Saquon signed before him. If James Cook would have signed before him, his number definitely wouldn't be as high as post Saquon signing. So Saquon signing first definitely helps him out with the market. Well, I think he signed for 2 years, 40 or something like that. I think it was like roughly 19 or 20 million. Saquon Barkley with the new deal, a year or something around there. So I'm gonna say James Cook definitely can say something in that meeting room. How disposable he is to the Bills. That helps his case because Josh Allen was the MVP. In some people's eyes and the things that he did was he my MVP? Absolutely not. But the Bills don't run without Josh Allen. The Bills definitely think they can run without James Cook though. So with that being said, it just depends on how he really leverages it, honestly. And James Cook was definitely one of the more premier elite backs this year. He did the things he needed to do, top 5 back, top 7 back, in terms of just being a guy with the ball in his hands. And the Bills don't have the best offensive line. Josh Allen and James Cook ran behind the same offensive line, played behind the same offensive line. So this definitely helps him more. This definitely helps him because if Saquon Barkley didn't sign, or if the market price wasn't pushed up on running backs, because to backspace all the way back, running backs aren't supposed to. The last 3-4 years, running backs don't draft them in the first round, don't pay running backs. Running backs are a dime a dozen. It's so many of them. That was the narrative. So with Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, bringing back the love for the running backs and the things that running backs can do at no matter the age, no matter the system and things like that. A lot of the running back position is definitely growing now and is definitely can build momentum to get the respect that they deserve. So hopefully James Cook gets a good dollar amount.
Octavian on James Cook.
I'm gonna first off say James Cook and Dalvin Cook be pocket watching so much, first of all. Because earlier in the season, Dalvin was trying to get James a bunch of money. Here he is again as soon as Saquon signed again. He's trying to get a bunch of money. But I understand it. I get it. Especially like you said, in the current market, in the current day and age we're in, where it came down to the dissolution of the running back importance until these last couple of years. I do agree it will help him in his negotiation. I just hope his eyes don't think he's as big as getting what Saquon's getting. Like, that's my only thing. Like, he definitely, I think this was probably his quote unquote breakout season, if you want to call it that. I think this was his best season so far. And it's always good to do that in the year before your final year. I think he's about to go into his final year of his rookie contract. And he's set to make like 5 million or something like that. So I definitely think this is going to help him be able to negotiate a higher, contract than what he probably would have gotten if not for the likes of Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs kind of reinvigorating the running back market. I just don't want him to get too high above his britches because those three players have proven themselves over a longer period of time that they can be difference makers. We know what Derrick Henry has done in the league. Saquon, even on the poorest team as the New York Giants, was always the number one guy. And we know Josh Jacob has the ability to do so. So I think it's a little early for James Cook to be pocket watching that much, but I do think it will help him get higher than what he probably would have gotten before this year with the current changes within the last, with those three running backs. All three running backs traded teams this year, and all three of them, I think they were the top rushing running backs in the league. We know Saquon, I think Derek was right behind him, and I think Josh was third. So I would have to look at where James Cooks was, but we definitely know he was one of the top and premier ones in the league. I'm just always big on, I need to see it for a longer period of time before I start shelling out that type of money. And I think that honestly, Saquon got this extension because of the literal year he had. Like there's going to be arguments going forward about if this was the best ever running back season ever, like on so many different levels when you're coming from, a division rival in your first year, you damn near could have broke Eric Dickerson's record. I mean, you did the things that you did in the offseason, the backwards hurdle, the runs. I mean, he had and this is not to throw shots at the Cowboys, but this was just the only stat I remember. There was a game where, the Eagles rushed for 7 touchdowns in one game. And at that time, the Cowboys had only rushed for 6 throughout the entire season. Like, he did amazing things where he was warranted this type of deal. And I will say, even though I will seem biased, but I am an Eagles fan, but Howie and them are really good at making sure that they compensate people for doing good things for the most part. They're very strategic in trying to move things around. So I wasn't surprised to see that he got the extension. But I do think, to get back to the actual question, James Cook, and he'll benefit from it. He just won't. He's not gonna get that much money. He not about to get no 19, 20 mil a year. Not yet.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, stay away from that deal, bro. Like, you got to bring more to the negotiating table than that's what he got. Like, this is why I can't be an owner or a person that's in those meetings, because if you invoke Saquon Barkley into this conversation and you're James Cook, I'm going to laugh at you, and then we're going to have another problem. Like Octavia pointed out, he was on Eric Dickerson's heels and delivered hardware. You get $20 million a year for that. But if you want to base what you think you should get off of him, I'm going to stack up your production against that, and then we can start going backwards for all the things that you didn't accomplish that he did. And then once we figure that out, we can land at that number. So, I mean, like, I get the whole concept of setting the market, but Saquon's not setting the market for James Cook. Like, he's setting the market for guys like, what we saw what Derrick Henry was able to do last year. That's that type of level of production is what I need to see from you before we even start thinking about getting anywhere near that number. And like I said, holding up that trophy at the end of the year is worth a few million. So yeah, let's just get back to the point of people just producing as much as they can, and then, you know, and then wanting to be paid off of that. But I do get trying to leverage yourself based on, you know, what other guys at your position are being paid. But, you know, if we want to go down that route, then like I said, we can start laying out resumes. And if yours not matching up, then that might cost you some money in the long run. So just focus on yourself, bro. just try to do what you can to reach that height, and then we can start talking about quote tweeting and googly eyes and good business and all that jazz.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like Malik said, I do get it that, you know, you do need to be aware of what the guy at the top of your position is making. That does make sense. However, the guys at the top, we're talking about, Octavius just laid out the type of year Saquon just had. Christian's getting 19. The year he had, Saquon just, you know, those 2 years are, you know, they can have a conversation. Those two can have a conversation where they're the only two backs in the room in the league at the moment to have that conversation. However, you know, I think James Cook has one more year, $5 million left on his deal. You should be able to look at folks like James Conner's getting $9.5 million a year. Joe Mixon is at 9.8 a year. Cool. I think Chuba Hubbard just signed an extension. He's at 8.3. That's where you need to look at and try to figure things out. I'm not being funny, just being honest. Like, for example, but at tippity top, leave that alone, man. Those are engines. Like, those are engines in very expensive cars. Like, those are the things you buy that make the outside of the car look better just because of the sound of it. Outside of the car is still nasty, but they're just they're that impactful. The other thing to be aware of is, one, you need to have another good year. Two, is the NFL, brother. You're already 26. One more year is 27. It's a deep running back class. You need to worry about balling out this upcoming year, because look, I'll be paying attention to the draft after this. And I'm not going to say I would be shocked if they take a running back high in this draft with you in mind, that maybe they don't have that, because that's another one of those contending teams. You know, contending teams got to move stuff around. Some things you can, you know, you got to place on what positions you have to money ball. So your position might be that in Buffalo, because arguably the most dangerous runner on your team is also the dude who throws the ball. So focus on your job, sir. That's all we ask, man. Got one question for you guys for rapid fire. It should be a good one though, but we'll do that and then we will close out. All right, so in rapid fire, this is from Josina Anderson yesterday on Twitter. She shared this. I'm disappointed to hear that a quarterback's coach from a team drafting the top 7 referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off, quote, brash and arrogant in his team interview, making his assessment known to a number of people per source. I'm purposely not naming the team as to not directly call the team out. I'm just sharing that this coach's personal assessment is a direct opposite from how Sanders came across to many reporters in his press conference with the media at the Combine. Sanders appeared to go out of his way to acknowledge multiple media members, regardless if they are recognizable or not. He seemed cordial, polite, witty, thoughtful, along with being confident, as many athletes are. Alternately, these observations were distinctly different from how another QB prospect came off to some in the media last year in Indy. According to league sources, said QB coach seems to have issue with the culture. The culture of athletes who have broad fame and financial success before entering the NFL. And in their opinion, appears to them to have a problem with certain athletes. I'll leave it at that. This is how pre-draft evaluations can get jacked, because of evaluators who don't seemingly possess the discernment to detect intangible traits that are connected to the will and drive to win without being a stat or delineated in an analytics report. He's literally Deion Sanders' son, and despite growing up different from most, seemed fairly grounded. Hopefully, any potential biases towards the culture are being checked at the door as not to unruly impact stock and business. The modern-day college athlete is evolving, as is the scale of business and opportunities surrounding them before entering professional leagues. Adaptation sounds necessary, and not just for Sanders. So she shared this. This is a very plugged-in report. She's been covering the league for years. I I'm sure you guys are aware of, this loud gust of wind blowing this over as the combine exited or came close to ending. Shedeur did not throw, nor did Cam Ward. But this was the thing that came out. Cam dodged most of this, but I guess it all went for Shedeur. Cam is, quote unquote, the good one. So it's become loud. Coming out of combine, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this before we close out. Ray, we'll start with you.
I think she should name the person. Like if he's allowed to say what he says, and I think people say these things because they are confident they have the protection of anonymity. No, we need to know why you feel this way, and people should be able to ask you why you feel this way, because you're not the only person he's spoken to, and if you're the only person saying this, then we need to know why. Why did you receive him in this manner? If it's not a problem for anybody else. That's my only thing about stuff like that. Guys, they have the ability to for lack of a better word, to sabotage these kids and it never be known that they're the person that said these things or feel this type of way. Obviously Shedeur has to stand on whatever comments he makes because it's in front of the whole world. So something's got to give with that, man. And if that ends up impacting his draft or what have you, then that what's up. But yeah, I saw it, and then I saw how, as Josina pointed out, he went out of his way to acknowledge everyone, and it seemed very professional in doing so. So yeah, man, I don't get it. I don't understand why people feel the need to try to influence others with their personal feelings and experiences. But it's going to shake out how it's going to shake out, man. But yeah, I'm very much in favor of stopping a certain QB so and so. Just say the name of what team they're affiliated with, so we know who we're dealing with.
Octavia.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely put a name on it at this point. But it doesn't surprise me. It's the old boys club. It's the guys that are just, at the top. They just don't like the way that it looks. I feel like more people should practice what their parents taught them as kids. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. There are things that, I'll be honest, there are things that, yeah, at times he says things or he can rub people the wrong way if you don't particularly like it, but that doesn't mean that you have to go out there and disparage this young man's character, especially when you don't know him personally. There's a difference with giving an opinion based off of facts. Like, you can say, like, his throwing percentage is this, or his QBR rating was this. Like, you can do facts. But when you start disparaging somebody, especially before they even get a chance to get in the league, and actually get their foot in the door, and I will say that probably some of this is residuals of the fact that Deion Sanders is his dad. Unfortunately, it's just a part of it. They're probably just like, oh, he's just like Deion. He's loud. He's brash. He's flashy. Oh, I hate these type of players. But like, so what? You hate it now, but if he was playing for your team and winning you championships, you would be ecstatic. So it's par for the course, honestly. I definitely wish they would put a name on it because it would make people own up to the things that they say. I'm tired of people hiding behind closed doors and anonymous this and anonymous that, because obviously you're saying it enough that people are hearing it. Like, for a reporter to say that I heard such and such, like, you're saying it on purpose because that there are reporters around. Like, you're at the combine, for goodness sakes. Like, why do you not think that somebody's going to hear a quote? So you're saying it like you don't care. You're real brash in it when you're saying it around everybody. So let the whole world know it. Stand on it in front of everybody. But I understand sometimes the journalists as well don't want to put that situation out there because they also don't want to bring extra unwarranted heat on themselves for no reason, especially people that look like us in the media. They already have it as hard as it is anyway. So, I do understand that aspect of it, still trying to be a little bit quaint in certain things and have a little bit of more class than the people that they're reporting on does. But at some point, somebody got to get a burner account and release these names or have a Finsta or something, because it's getting ridiculous. But at the end of the day, we know it's the same type of people that are at the top that just don't think, and especially you under more scrutiny being a black quarterback, that it's always going to come with more scrutiny. And then I just think that the reason why you have the what is that coach name, Saban, and retiring, and all these older coaches, they just don't understand the culture anymore. And then of course with NIL and how much money these college players are getting, they have a little bit more bravado than they probably had in the past, and that's well within their rights. They worked hard for the things that they have. So I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't surprise me, and unfortunately it probably won't be the last time.
Malik.
Yeah, whatever. Like Octavia said, whatever it takes to tear down the youth, the athlete. I might say we can go to a racial part of it, but I might say I don't want to go there tonight. But yeah, whatever. He got his hat back to the side. He's the first showing of his father's offspring heading into the NFL. He's the biggest showing that, he's the next Sanders in the NFL, so he's gonna get it. Is it fair? Absolutely not. Do they have to does the media have to do their job? Absolutely. So I mean, he's a guy. Everybody knows he's a guy. Whether you like him or not, top 3 guy, top 4 guy, top 2 guy. Honestly, my opinion. That's when it gets opinionated based. Call him top 2, top 1, but top 5 for sure. You can't name 4 guys, 5 guys better than him in this draft at the quarterback position. So it just comes. He knows if anybody knows how to handle the pressures, the lights, the media, the critics, it is him. So and like I said, head back to the side, chains on, things like that. He's not even worried about the media, about what they're going to say to him. If there was a class on what to wear and what to do at a combine, he wouldn't take it. He wouldn't have to take it, because all his life he's been Deion Sanders' son. So he's been going against, the critiques, everything that Deion has done and is negatively put onto his kids. He's already faced it once before. Now he's just facing it in front of more people. So it's just, people are nasty, people are hateful, people are bashful. It's probably a team that either doesn't want him because of things that have nothing to do with football, or well, I mean, because he's a 21-year-old, 22-year-old. He's the same age as me. So to just be bashful or hateful is just, it stems from a different place. It doesn't stem from inside the lines of football. It stems from extra places that, are just non-warranted. These same teams that are talking trash, that don't understand how to win football games, are going to be the same teams that don't win football games. So
For sure, I agree with everything y'all had to say. That's just my whole thing. I don't care if it's football or whatever. I hate the anonymous scout part of things. Like, if it's a closed door conversation, off wax conversation, I mean, knock yourself silly. I'm not in your conversation. Say whatever nasty stuff you got to say, get it off, whatever. But you are leaking it. So just put your face to it. If you feel the need to go out your way to make sure a reporter hears it, put your name to it. Just put your name to it. A reporter doesn't just hear it. You let them know. So, and you let several of them know. So go ahead. And then your report's conflicting, as Ray said, to several other folks' report. He's not the first quarterback to not have his hat on straight. Like, people just gotta chill. Like, you like the kid or you don't like the kid. If you don't like the kid, you just don't have to say anything. Like, it's so simple. And if it moves you that much, if your team, your organization did draft the kid, leave. If it bothers you that much, I would dare say you wouldn't leave, because that just doesn't make any sense. But it is what it is, man. I'm ready for that draft to get here. Got a whole lot of thoughts about it, but we got to stop with this anonymous stuff. And I challenge some reporters, like, hey, man, air them out. Just just air them out. If it's getting that crazy, air them out. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We will get up with you guys next week. Same time, same place as always. Y'all have a good week.